Hello, my name's Artemis, and if there is one thing in life that certainly needs enforcing, it is boundaries. Whether it's the boundaries between work and life, or the boundaries between a normal conversation and sexy times, they are vitally fucking important.
Indeed, and the fandom is of course no different. Boundaries are vitally important on this little road in the furry fandom, making sure you don't veer off into somewhere else that you shouldn't be, like a ditch, and end up crashing and burning. Not a bad metaphor, actually.
So that's what we're obviously looking into this week. The specific and very fucking important boundaries within our little community that you really shouldn't fucking cross. Let's dig in. Kicking things off with a very important point about your furry life and your normie life is that they should be perfectly balanced, as all things should be. A quote that I totally whipped off from Thanos, who honestly was pretty fucking wise if, you know, you discount the cosmic genocide.
Acceptance is a big deal in the furry fandom. In fact, it's the reason why most of us turn up to this fucking thing. And it can be just so lovely, so wishy-washy and fantastical to merge your fursona with your persona and live life out loud and proud in both sides. But that will bring unnecessary awkwardness and, I mean, let's be perfectly honest here, not every situation needs to include some aspect of furriness, okay? You don't have to keep putting things up in places where they don't belong, despite the fact that that's obviously quite a big theme in this fandom that people enjoy.
Of course, we're not saying that you should always keep these things separate and that there is no healthy middle ground, because there is, but there are certain situations where maybe keeping your furriness on the down low is actually going to be the best for you. I mean, let's picture this. Let's picture that you've grown up wanting to be a doctor your entire life. You studied hard, you worked hard, you managed to put yourself through college, you ended up scrambling for that PhD, but you got it, and now you are interviewing for your perfect dream job. But wait! Shit! Oh no! They've done a little check on you, a little background check to see what sort of person they might be hiring, and they found just so much heavy, dirty smut. Just, you know, the filthiest, raunchiest, most illicit lewdness that they could ever see on somebody's private Twitter account. And then they start to reconsider that maybe this person isn't, you know, the best fit for being a paediatrician.
Our modern digital world has so many pitfalls that nobody ever really considers until, spoiler alert, it's too fucking late. For instance, if you put information about yourself online, people can find it. And it's actually quite easy to do so as well. And it's also easy to link all that information together, and pretty soon you see that different parts of your life are bleeding into each other in ways you didn't exactly want them to, and that can result in some very awkward meetings with the management. Trust me.
Commissioning artwork is obviously a massive part of the furry fandom, and for many people, their primary source of income. And for many people who are commissioning the lewds, it's their primary source of actual cum. Wait, no, oh god, why did I no?
And being that a fandom is so intensely focused on being polite and civil and friendly and all of that bollocks, and also that artists do tend to blur the lines between personal and professional on their accounts, which they're likely to do. That's fair enough, that's fine, no judgment there at all. But it does mean that people very much forget that these are essentially business transactions and not a gateway to expanding your social circle.
As harsh as it might sound to some, commissioning an artist is only going to get you what you agreed to in the commission itself, and not a lifelong friend or someone who's going to be there at the end of a phone at all hours of the day to hear about all of your personal problems, okay? It doesn't work that way. Now, be polite, be civil, be friendly, of course, obviously, but don't go crossing the boundary and think that you found your soulmate just because someone's willing to draw your dick.
The same principle does, of course, apply to the other side of the fence. You cannot rely on your friendliness and whatnot, allowing you to, I don't know, miss deadlines or potentially not deliver what exactly was asked for, but also you can't be expected to just not enforce your terms of service because of, what, social politeness? Fuck that.
Okay, I've said this enough times, I really don't need to introduce it that much, so we'll just do the cliff notes. Furries are like people. People get horny, they like finding things that make them horny, apart from those 1% of the population that are asexual, like myself, represent. So, there we go. People like to do the dirty, and they like finding things that make them feel dirty. But not everybody is into that. Not everybody wants everything to be sexual, and therefore crossing that boundary, big bad. I mean, simple things like unsolicited dick pics. If I have to tell you that an unsolicited dick pic is a bad idea, then maybe you're a little bit beyond my help. But yes, bad, wrong, don't do that. And Honestly, does that shit ever even work? What's the point?
Assuming sexual intent is a boundary you do not want to fucking cross in this fandom, and also none of us want you to cross it either, right? So please fucking don't. And it's so very easy, you see it all the goddamn time. People posting non-sexual content, but it's slightly kinky, and someone deciding that that's gonna be their wank material for the day, and that the poster needs to hear exactly how that went. They don't. None of us do, okay? Keep it in your fucking pants. Not everybody is interested in that.
Don't go around sexualizing content that isn't inherently made to be sexual, because that's just a little bit creepy, and it can actually really affect the person making that content. They might be exposing something that they really like in a non-sexual way, feeling a little bit vulnerable in doing so, and then out comes someone who's just like, I'm gonna wank all over it. That's not a good feeling. Nobody wants to fucking deal with that, okay? And I mean, there is another side of this as well, the side of exposing your furriness and your kinkiness to the rest of the world.
Not everybody has to live their life out loud. Some people are more than happy to share these things that they love, but some people are not. So it's not something that they're going to want to mix. And it's not something that has to mix either, okay? If you have a general Twitter account that you're just posting a bunch of safe for work stuff, just generally tweeting and retweeting things that you like and don't like, that's fine and lovely. Maybe don't throw the hardcore porn in with it as well, because, you know, everybody can see that, and it's unlocked and not secure, and it doesn't have to really go there, does it? There's a little bit of a boundary that could happen there. And, I mean, seeing people market themselves to, you know, teenagers and children, almost in some cases, with a lot of the content that they make, and then just ramming all of the sexual content right up next to it and trying to claim like, well, it's my channel, I'll do what I want. That's borderline grooming in my opinion, because you know exactly what you're fucking doing. So maybe, just maybe, don't.
Alright, we get it. Fursuits are cute, adorable, cozy, fluffy, huggable things. It's undisputed. That is a fact of life. We have to deal with that. But obviously wearing a fursuit does not mean that everybody's going to want to be hugged or touched randomly, right? Like, we all get that fursuits don't equal consent, and that it doesn't mean that just because someone's out and about fursuiting that they're going to love being hugged by random strangers.
This is something you primarily see at conventions and meetups where fursuits are bound and are all over the fucking place, and while the majority of people do have some fucking respect and actually ask before they do whatever, you still see plenty of very awkward, lengthy hugs that's clearly uncomfortable for the fursuiter, and fursuiters just being picked up and carried off. Which, honestly, is creepy as fuck.
Yeah, I really need to cut this shit out, alright? You got no idea what's going on under that fursuit. On the outside, they can look all cute and all lovely and fluffy and adorable with a lovely little expression that you just want to hug and squeeze. But on the inside, they could be massively overheating, unable to see because of their fogged up glasses, and dealing with the immense pain of hidden medical conditions that they're battling through just to enjoy some time in that fursuit of theirs that they love. So clearly, they wouldn't exactly want you ambushing them on their way back to the Headless Lounge to try and get some water, just randomly squeezing their rib cage, would they?
And of course, this is just the tip of the iceberg, and it is something that has happened to people. I myself know that groping in fursuit is apparently a thing that happens, and I don't give a fuck what your justification is at all. That is assault of a sexual nature. That is illegal. That should get you a punch in the fucking jaw hard enough to knock your dumb ass out. I advocate for violence in this one, okay? Like, I don't give a fuck what someone's wearing or how provocative you think they may look. Nothing says touch me inappropriately without asking. Not a goddamn thing in this fucking world, alright? Fursuits do not constitute consent. I don't know why that's such a hard concept for people to get.
Making friends is an amazing process, and partly the reason a lot of us are here, and celebrating those friends' incredible artistic talents and endeavours is, of course, an amazing, lovely thing too. And if, like me, you want to celebrate by sharing in that, then you'll be beating down a path to their door to pay them for that work and not letting them actually give it to you for free. But not everybody is like me in that regard, and not everybody will keep coming up with sneaky tactics to try and pay them for this shit when they refuse your money. No, some people do like to befriend artists with the explicit goal of getting free shit out of them. I think these people are called cunts. Fairly certain they're called
This is a lot of people's livelihood. It's how they keep the lights on, pay for food, and generally shit like that. It is their source of income, which means if you want to, you know, support someone, if you actually truly are their friend, then you're going to be beating down their front door to pay them for these services because you like them and you want to support them. And therefore, by that logic, which does track, if you are trying to extort free work out of them and take away all that time that they could be earning money for their own survival, you're not very much of a fucking friend, are you?
Taking advantage of another person's generosity is just downright fucking toxic, and it needs purging from life in general, because it's just wrong. It's just fucking wrong. And it extends beyond artistic things and commission pieces and shit like that. It goes to a lot of other things. You know, friendships are give and take. You can't just take. So when it comes to paying the bill when you're all eating out together, or making the effort to go to someone's place to hang out, you can't just have that being a one singular direction all of the goddamn time, because it does get noticed, okay? Like, everybody else is having a nice time and enjoying, but then they start to notice that, hang on, you never exactly dip your hand in your wallet to try and pay for this meal, when the rest of us are literally fighting in the fucking alleyway here to see who can get to the card machine first. I mean, to be fair, that has almost happened with our little friend group as well. Switch, I will fucking get there first. And we have a nice hard one to finish off on, and I'm likely going to sound like an insensitive, rude, abrasive cunt for saying this one, but fuck it, I'll take that risk because it's important. And quite simply it is, don't be a fucking leech. Don't be a Klingon, alright? Learn to read social situations, read the room, figure out when your welcome has been worn out, and leave, alright? This sounds really nasty, I know, but don't go following fursuiters around all the way to their fucking room, or following them into the headless lounge and shit if you don't know them, because that's a bit fucking creepy. If people are planning to go and have a nice meal out, don't fucking invite yourself. If you were meant to be there, they'd say, hey, do you want to come along too? Don't hang around and fucking try and wheedle your way in, because that's awkward as fuck.
This is a real hard point to get across without sounding just really hateful and aggressive and antisocial, and honestly, the only time I mean to come across like that is when I'm working. So don't read too much into this, because yeah, we all like being friendly, we all like being welcoming, and no one really wants to rock the boat if people are taking advantage, but they do take advantage of everyone else's niceness, and honestly, sometimes you do need to rock the boat a bit.
Now, the major takeaway here is that you will naturally fit in with the people you are supposed to fit in with, okay? And if you are trying to force it, then that's just going to create friction, because you shouldn't be fitting in with them, all right? If it's not natural, it ain't right. You shouldn't really be trying to force that in. And I get it, conventions are big and scary, and everyone else has got their own social groups, and you want to try and fit in and find people, but you got to learn to read the room right. You got to learn to figure out when you've actually found people that you genuinely connect with and that you can be around without overstaying your welcome, and when you found a group of people that honestly are willing to put up with you and a little bit too polite not to tell you to fuck off when you've been hanging around them for 8 hours in a day and they still don't know your name.
Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it didn't trigger you too much, because yeah, we're talking about some stuff that some people out there are probably guilty of, because hell, I'm fucking guilty of it in some cases as well, because we're human. It's what happens, and like humans, we sometimes like to support people and maybe check out their merch stores. Just saying, you know. Seamless segue. Can't even notice how easy it was for me to just make that connection into the merch. How about that? Maybe have a look. Right. Dog's turn to beg for money, because he's just better at it than I am, and I can admit that. I'm strong enough to admit that.
Yay, my turn. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I hope you very much enjoyed this video, because it was fun to make, and that's why I make these things, for you and because they're fun. There you go, suss the secret out. If you did enjoy it, obviously, you know what's coming up here, don't you? It's Patreon time. Maybe have a look at supporting me, because I do love your support. It helps me live. It helps me survive. It really does. It helps with... I would be fucked without it. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. All of you wonderful supporters already. And hell, there's plenty of room for other people to join those ranks as well. You never know. It might be worth it. We've got some great rewards and stuff. Give it a go. But yes, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this week's video, and I will see y'all next week, son. I don't know where that came from.